Okay, so today is March 4th, 2021. And it's been a pretty shitty day, really. We're on a pretty shitty time for a bit. As I was saying, it's been pretty shitty time lately. It started maybe after working at my job. I had a lot of responsibilities, which is okay. Anyway, same day, sorry. I just keep getting interrupted, and I need to say some things, and I think that this will help me and maybe other people, I don't know, if I'll upload it or whatever, understand some things that could happen to people. I worked at McDonald's for 4 years, 4 years, and then I had to get a second job because circumstances to help pay for all the bills and everything. So I stopped going to all my therapies and my medical appointments and everything. And I was diagnosed probably 6 or 7 years ago with bipolar disorder. Before that, I was diagnosed with a bipolar and PTSD. Before that, I was diagnosed with just anxiety and depression. So my mom died around 6 years ago, so I think that didn't help. And then I got in a very, very bad relationship. Me and my husband had split up for a little bit, and I did the whole, get on drugs, do crazy shit stuff, thing. And I lost my kids, and I lost myself for like 6 months. And so I'm bringing this up because there was a time that I got off my meds as well. It's usually my manic times, and they're not that, they're far apart, but they're very damaging to your life. It's very overwhelming. All my feelings were just everywhere. So and now, like, all my thoughts are everywhere, and obviously I hadn't writing this stuff down. This is like not something. So every time I get off the medication, I get these really fun, cool ideas, Let's become polygamist, and let's go buy a dog, and let's do all these things. And I'm like, or anything, because I do also have ADD. And every time I make a suggestion like this, it always ends up badly, especially when I'm not in clear mind. So, at least being my mindfulness, because it's hard to get there. But, that's that, because my husband's probably coming back in, and I don't want him to hear all this. So yeah, I last week, it's been longer than last week, but I started drinking, which everybody knows is not a good thing when you're bipolar. and then unmedicated. So I started drinking and acting out because it's like, I don't know if it's a big cry for attention or at least the acting out part, the drinking and just wondering if he's gonna notice or say something. I don't know. I'm always trying to start a fight, and it's crazy. And then I would black out. I would drink so much I'd black out, and then I'd do things, text people, telling them I wanted to be with them, and not even wanting those things because, I'm happily married most of the time. Well, a lot of times, yeah, marriage is hard. Being with the same person forever is hard. Being with somebody when you're constantly not the same person all the time is hard. And my husband does his best because I'm a big handful. So, the boss has been working me hours and hours a week. I was working like 60 hours, and then she had the grandchildren there, and they were like 2 and 5 years old. Cute things, but the boy was always trying to hit me and stuff. I don't know, because I'm just nice, I guess. It's just getting like, just too much. And I just kept thinking, like, wouldn't it be nice if I was just gone? Wouldn't it be nice not to have to have any responsibilities? Wouldn't it be nice to just rest? Sweet some rest, And so, I came home. That's crazy because the week was pretty good, except for the fact that, and on top of all this other stuff, I was taking diet pills that no one told me would bring my mania and worse. So, I bought 2 big Four Locos, which I don't know how many people are drinking Four Locos, but they're not good. And then I had taken my pill, so that's not good. And that's just my diet pill, not my psych pills, because I haven't been on psych meds this time, And I get on the bus, and I go home, and it was like I said, it was the shortest week we had, and I had like 3 days off, and I got so drunk, and high, and blacked out, and got up, my husband got on my phone, found all these messages, which he should have been upset with me. I was livid that he got on my phone. I was so pissed he got on my phone. So pissed he invaded my privacy at that time. But I'm really glad he did, because I wasn't doing things that was something I would ever want to do if I was being rational, which I wasn't. So I run out at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and this is a Sunday. I know I have to go to work. I'm running out in the middle of the street, I'm getting no sleep for days, like hardly any sleep. You're running down the street, drunk. So I'm running down the street, drunk. And I'm like, in the middle of an episode, right? Drunk, obviously, also drunk, but I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Like, I'm the one that pays rent, so I run home, and I'm like, yelling at my husband, like, super drunk off my butt. Get the hell out of my apartment, get the hell out of my apartment, pee my son out because my husband had told my son that um, I was talking to other dudes, and my son decided that he wanted to have some words with me, which is the same words he said to his father when he found out his father was doing the same thing. So I can't be mad at him now, being rational right this moment. But I was mad then, so I kicked the both out, right? And then all of a sudden, like, I run into the like the living room, and I say to my little boy, my youngest, I say, I love you, Christopher. And then after that, I don't remember what happened. But I woke up on my bedroom floor, so I must have blacked out and was not in control at the moment. I don't know who was. But I woke up in my room. My husband was here. He was like picking me up. And I'm looking at my hand, and I'm like, I try to kill myself. I'm gonna die, And I'm like, I'm gonna die, and I'm just like, I'm telling my husband, just please let me die, just let me die, just don't call 911. Well, my son had called 911 already, so they come, and my husband's walking me outside, and my husband didn't know that I had, yes, we do have bugs. We have a very, very shitty apartment. Anyway, sorry. And we do spray, but it's because we have a shitty landlord. But anyway, back to this. My husband didn't know that I had been drinking that day, so they were asking me questions like, did you intend to harm yourself, And I'm like, well, obviously I tried to kill myself, but even though, I don't remember doing it. I don't remember getting a knife. I put a knife to my skin. I remember looking down and seeing my cut, which it looks pretty good now. It's pretty healed. I mean, it's a lot better than it was. And there's a thing I want to say. You guys are probably thinking, man, that wasn't the place to cut. But I was trying to kill myself. But I totally missed it. But apparently it was down to the bone, which is really, really bad. So anyway, and I had been talking about getting committed for a while. I kept telling my husband, I need to go. I need to get committed. I really want to be committed, because I knew there was something wrong. I knew I was living in mania land, and it wasn't fun. It wasn't a fun ride, but I knew I had to work too. So it was like, yeah, have me committed, but don't. So this kind of forced me to go and take me to the emergency room. Well, I told my husband I love you, and my son told him I loved him. And then I had my stuff, and my phone was at 15% because I was up all night drunk texting dudes, being stupid. And so here I am in the ambulance, and they're like, well, you try to kill yourself. So they didn't even sew my cut. They just bandaged it, and it was open. The wound was it's this long, and it was this open. So they just left it there. Just put a little band-aid on it. It'll be okay, And I'm like, I'm gonna bleed to death, whatever. So they get me in there, and they're talking to me. And they're like, you try to kill yourself, right? You try to kill yourself. And I'm like, my husband and I got in a fight, because we did get in a fight. And it's all, and I don't know what happened. All I know is I remember the knife. I remember the cut and the knife, but I don't remember actually doing it. And so they take me in, and they're like, here, it's the 5150, and if you guys don't know what that is, it's somebody tries to kill themselves, they have to be committed into the hospital for their own protection. So they sit me in the bed, and it was 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm laying in this bed still, no sutures, no nothing, no pain meds. But of course, I think I'm that drunk, They're they knew they asked me about the drinking, so I had told him. So I was feeling no pain. That cut that I cut, it's a good thing I didn't cut longer. I would have cut some off, because I was that drunk. I was that drunk and high that I couldn't feel it, So they had to have this lady watch me. And I mean, watch me. She sat there in a chair right across from me. They made me take all my clothes off. They looked at all my body to make sure, like, I wasn't trying, like, didn't have anything that I could hurt myself with. They took away my phone. They let me, they laid me down in the bed, but they didn't restrain me then. But the lady did watch me the whole night, and then the shift changed, and then the crisis worker comes, and she's like, so what happened, blah blah blah. And I had told her, well, I was trying to get out of there, because yes, I wanted to be committed, but I was like, no, I don't want to be committed, I got this, I still wasn't feeling suicidal anymore, whatever. And the lady was like, so you don't feel suicidal anymore? And I'm like, yeah. So she was like, yeah, I'll let you go, and blah blah blah. And then she goes and talks to my doctor, and the doctor's like, oh no, she ain't going nowhere. She cut her wrist to her bone, so she really meant to hurt herself. So I had to wait there, and the lady was like, yeah, well, just again, the lady was like, well, bad news, you can't. We're just gonna keep you here till we get a hold of your husband, and then after we get a hold of your husband, we'll just send you home, So I'm like, okay, I'm taking a nap because I'm like hurting. And then the doctor comes like at 5 o'clock in the morning to decide after 4 hours of having this hole in my arm, he decides to stitch it up, and he stitches up my hole, and it was just and it didn't hurt still because I guess I was still not drunk. So then they do that, and then it comes the morning, right? And then these ambulance drivers come up to me, and they're like, are you Misty Patch? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh yeah, ready for transport? I'm like, what? Transport where? And they're like, yeah, we're taking you to Sacramento, which is like a 3.5 hour drive from where I live. And I was like, why? And they're all, oh yeah, you're being committed. I'm like, what? And even though I wanted to be committed, I was like, fudge. So I had to sit in the back of the ambulance for 3.5 hours, and they had to have me restrained, my hands and my legs and everything. I couldn't use my phone. I couldn't tell anybody anything. Well, I guess they had called my husband. I had no idea what was going on, so I couldn't, call my family or nobody. And I kept telling I kept going, oh my God, someone needs to call my boss, So one of the EMTs was like, okay, I'll let you use your phone for a few minutes. So I call my husband, and I'm like, I have to go, blah, blah, blah. Then I call my grandmother, and she's friends with my boss, who, not the nicest person. So she told my boss, whatever, and so my boss is like, whatever. And so then they take my phone, and then they take me to the hospital up there, and the mental hospital, you would think, I'm in a mental hospital, they'll be yelling and screaming and whatever. I thought mental hospital meant therapy and, groups and, medication, it does give medication, and they do, like, drug people, but only if you're, like, crazy, like, if you're acting out erratic or acting away, which I didn't act that way, but I was kind of very disappointed in the whole, I mean, I liked they helped me get sober, because that helped me get sober, and then I met a bunch of cool people, and some mentally ill people are, like, they let me, like, listening to their stories, because I don't really hang out with people who are bipolar or mental problems or stuff for my husband, but we'll talk about that later. But, so I didn't know, like, half the crap that I pull on a daily basis when I'm manic. It's something everybody, or like most people, have done who are bipolar, so that helped me, because I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm not alone. I'm not, like, that crazy, but I'm crazy, So anyway, I was there for a week. I did everything they said, and then now I'm out, obviously, or I wouldn't have my phone. But I thought my husband would leave, and he didn't leave me. He's still supporting me. And I have my good days and my bads. Today was a shitty day, because not only all that happened, I get in a car accident a couple weeks, like in July, and my car gets fixed, and then I got it yesterday, and the alternator was out, and the people were like, oh, we're not gonna fix that because it wasn't a part of the accident. And I'm like, what? So I had to have my car towed today to go get it fixed, and that's another $400 plus a $500 deductible. But anyways, this is Misty signing off, saying bipolar is no joke. Being manic, no joke. Get on medication. I thought I could manage it with just weed and whatever, but apparently I couldn't. And maybe some people can. I'm not gonna knock you if you're one of those people. But if you're not, don't use meth or alcohol or sex, because that's a big thing too. But use your brain and, get on medication, see a therapist, or talk to your friend. Ask them if this stuff is normal, because, you never know. But anyways, thanks for tuning in.